webinar. My name is Sam Petro, and I'm going to be the technical producer for you guys and the moderator for this evening. The webinar is going to be presented by Cindy Price. Before we go ahead and start, I wanted to take just a minute to make sure that you guys are ready and familiar with the control panel. There's a few things that you'll notice on the right side of your screen that we may or may not be able to use tonight. One of the things that Cindy would like is to have actually all of you guys be unmuted so that you can speak through your speakers on your computer to answer the questions that she brings up. It's going to be a little bit more interactive than what we are traditionally have done in the past with webinars. If you do not have a microphone for your computer, the questions panel will be where you would write in any questions that you have for Sydney or any comments about any of the answers to the questions that she has that are going on. So take a look at that. There's also a raise your hand button, and it's the little, looks like a hand, and you can go ahead and click on that, maybe if we're asking for any kind of voting for how many of you do this or how many of you do that. Let's see. Want to make sure that you understand that if you need to step away for any reason during the webinar, just keep yourself connected. Otherwise, you will have to go ahead and re-log on, and you'll miss part of the stuff of the webinar. So just go ahead and walk away if you need to. Do you guys have any questions for us at this time? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and unmute all of you guys, and then Cindy will go ahead and get started with the presentation. Okay.
Is everybody open?
Yep, here we go. Okay, everyone is unmuted.
Okay, Sam, thank you. And thank you, Kappas, for joining tonight. It's kind of been a tragic day in Washington, D.C. and at the Navy Yard and the White House. So I know you share my gratitude for the many people who are serving in law enforcement today. I hope they are making the most of their jobs today. Again, I am Cindy Price. I'm a Kappa from Kansas City. I've been in the workforce for 40-plus years, and I've had a couple of dream jobs, and I have to admit I've had a couple of jobs that it took me a long time to walk in and get to my desk in the morning. And so I know a lot of activities or events or things that you can do to make your job a lot better. Today I'd like to have an opportunity to discuss. We can even do some role playing if you're brave enough. And I'm going to have you make some lists and some to-do lists because I'd like you to be able to, at the end of this webinar, be able to go back and look over the things that we've talked about, and you can kind of circle and remember to do some things this next week to increase your job satisfaction. So basically tonight I have two objectives. One is to increase your job satisfaction. That's for you. And then one to increase your manager's satisfaction with you. And I think we'll all agree that would probably reflect real quickly back on your job happiness as well. So to start off, I would love you to just rate your job. On a scale of 1 to 10, you can just draw a line across the top of a piece of paper, and 1 is I must find new employment immediately, and 10 is your dream job. So I would love to kind of hear where most people are. What are we dealing with out here in our audience?
Remember, you guys are unmuted now, so you can go ahead and answer Cindy's questions live.
Because I'm not hearing anyone. Could I, ask for some numbers, and also I'd love to know what kind of jobs people have out there. If they're teachers or marketing or office managers, or what type of jobs we're kind of talking about tonight.
I have a couple of 7s. People typed in 7s. 2 people, Anna and Hannah.
Okay. Well, that's not so bad. That's a good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, basically, like I said, I want you to start with, what you feel your job satisfaction is, and then I had also suggested that before we start this, that you really think about your actual job. And I hope most of you have had a little bit of time to think about your specific duties, your responsibilities, your objectives. And I'd like you to have a nice little list of the things that you need to do for your job, because this is something you will kind of respond or, look back on.
While they're writing, Cindy, I have another 7 from Liz, who works in student affairs. I have a 6 from Renee. She's office manager, executive assistant. And then Beth is a 7. She works as a post-secondary educator in health sciences.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. It's nice to know that I'm not dealing with people, really very, very unhappy in their job. What is nice is people find a job good, but that they know they can make it better. So after you've kind of defined your job, and this is for you, this is so you really know what your job is all about, then I'd like you to clarify your physical and your emotional environment. And that has a lot to do with your work hours and the people you work with. Just consider everything about your job that makes it or breaks it. List your benefits and your perks. Think about your paycheck. I mean, a lot of people are I used to work at Hallmark Cards, and we called it the golden handcuffs, because we had such excellent benefits that nobody wanted to leave, even if they hated their job. But I would like you to write down a lot about your job. Try to answer all these little things that I've put on here so that you can find something that you kind of want to work on, that you would love to improve. Or this is also a great way to reaffirm to yourself that you've got an important, joyful, or dignified job, and you also want to identify possible areas where you can improve that. Again, can we hear some comments, or are people just able to type?
People who have speakers on their computers should be able to talk to us. And I can hear a little something in the background, a spoon in a bowl. So somebody's on.
I'm just kind of waiting to see if people would like to make some comments about, just say some of their important tasks or some of the things that they have to do. Okay, well, since I'm not getting a lot of response, I'm going to go on to this little T chart. And this is something you can just draw on a piece of paper and make a big T with kind of a line down the middle of your page. And on one side of the T is my top talents. And then on the other side of the T is you need to really think hard about what your manager needs as top talents. And sometimes you will have top talents that aren't needed in your job. For instance, you might be a great organizer, but nobody is asking you to organize anything. Or, you might be a great detail person, but nobody's asking you to do that. But so I want you to list on one side, I want you to list your 5 or 6 top talents. And then think about on the other side the things that your manager needs as a top talent for this job.
Here's a little bit of a delayed comment, Cindy, from the previous slide. Liz likes her hours. She has some flex time. Sometimes she has to work evenings and weekends, which is probably, I would perceive that as a negative maybe, but that's why she wrote that in.
Okay, good. I would love to hear some of these top talents. Do we have a lot of organizers out there? Do we have a lot of creative people? Do we have detail or blue sky? I would like to hear some of the top talents that we're having, because I would like, to have some discussions about some of the talents and how we can grow those talents. And other people hopefully would have that same talent, and so when we discuss how we would increase using that talent, other people can get good ideas too.
Here's the top talents from Elizabeth: relationship building, organized, team player, and an includer.
That's always good in an office. Always good in an office.
Yep. Anna doesn't have a mic, so she's typed in creative, personable, and a strategic thinker.
Okay.
Hannah types in detail-oriented, determined, good communication skills.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the good things about doing this T-chart is you recognize the disparity or the strength of your placement in your position. It kind of helps you clarify your need to discover what your employer values. If you really just write down what your employer needs from you, and then all of a sudden you're realizing, I've got some top talents here that I'm not using, and perhaps there would be a great way for me to, slip in my organizing talents or my creative talents or my blue sky or my detail work, and come in with some things that not only make me stand out in my job, but make me a lot happier in my job. So that's what basically this T-chart is really good about, my top talents and what a manager needs in this position.
Beth writes that she's creative and an organizer, and I love to empower students to learn and work with their learning styles.
Great, great.
Hannah writes detail-oriented, determined, good communication skills.
Yes. Good, thank you. Do we need a little bit more time on this? I don't want to rush people, but if I'm not going to be able to hear people, then I don't know how quickly to go. But this is a fun one. I would love you to have just write 3 things that make you really happy. You can just fold one of your pieces of paper twice so that you make a small table tent in front of you. And I want you to write just 3 things that make you happy. They don't have to have anything to do with your job. It could be something like chocolate. It could be something like sunshine, being outdoors, music, friends, good food, exercise. Can I have some sharing of some of these good things that make you happy? And I want you to keep this in front of you, because we will come back and kind of look at, are there ways to pull in your little, in your little happy card, your little happy table tent, or there's some things that you can pull into your job?
Friends, family, outdoors, and traveling.
Ooh, traveling, that's always good. And jobs sometimes can have that. That's great. Well, if everybody has their three happy things, and you can keep writing, but 3 is kind of a at least a minimum, so that we can have some happy things.
Music, my dog, and friends from Renee. My husband, family, and relaxation from Anna.
Do you know there are some jobs that they let them bring their dogs to work, which I think is just so nice. I know we're doing a lot of writing, but I want you to be able to, after the seminar is over, go back and go through your pages, and you can look at some of the lists you've made, you know, and now I've got a slide up here that says, I took this job because, and a lot of times people just take the job because it's in their field, or, you know, they interviewed for it and it was offered, so they took it. Basically, sometimes it was close to home. It was something you got a degree in. You knew people that were already at this company and they helped get you a job. Were you recruited? So write down kind of a list why you took this job. And like I say at the very top of this screen, the goal of this is just kind of help you to understand if you should keep this job or improve this job or move on to a new job.
Hannah writes in, she took this job because the company has great organizational culture, benefits, and opportunities for growth.
And Hannah, you're my detail person?
Can you hear me on the phone? If
I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was me.
Renee took the job because she knew the owner was suddenly in need of a job, and it's a flexible work schedule.
And what was the last one, Sam?
It's a flexible work schedule.
Oh, flexible work schedule. That's always nice. You can go back to your first couple of pages that you've written, and I would like you to circle your favorite duty or responsibility with this job, and then I'd like you to make a square around your most frustrating or something that you'd like to change or improve, your most difficult responsibility. So at least on your page now you've got one thing that you're really pleased about, your favorite duty or responsibility, and then one thing that you really find frustrating and you feel like.
Here's a couple more reasons they took their job. A great opportunity, the salary, learning opportunities, entry into the competitive field. Leah took her job because it was in Kansas City, it paid well, and it was my only offer. Liz took it because it was in her field, it was a great opportunity, it was offered to her right after she graduated, a great company and people, and she works with students. And Beth writes that this was her ideal job under her previous manager. It's become less so under the current management.
Yes. Your employer, your managers, your coworkers, they have a great deal to do with how happy or how satisfied you are in your job. And that's one of the frustrating things that you can take and brainstorm on how to improve or how to change, how to morph that into something better. Okay, here is our first, finally we're getting to an action step. I would like you to think of, or take that frustrating duty and the one that you drew a square around. And is there someone who would like to just offer up, or Sam, you can tell us one of them that has been written in, and we can just kind of even brainstorm about that one particular frustrating duty in particular, and we'll all kind of learn from brainstorming about that one, making it a more agreeable task, and then you can kind of see how you would apply that to your task. One of the nice things about just how you view one of your job responsibilities. I know I used to have one thing that made me so angry that I had to do by a certain date and a certain time, and I moved the time up so that I was always early, and my boss was always so thankful, and it all of a sudden made that job really kind of a fun job, because I had this self-imposed that I would do it early and get it done, and make him happy with me. So do we have somebody that would like to offer a frustrating duty or a frustrating responsibility, and we can brainstorm on how to get this to be a more agreeable task?
One of my frustrating duties is enforcing audit controls for people who are in different departments, because we don't share the same manager. So you need to enforce it, but you don't have, I don't know how to say it, but you're not in charge of them, so you can't enforce it, or you have to enforce it, but without having been able to hold that over their head that you're their manager. That's what's frustrating about my job right now.
Let me make sure I understood that. You have to have something done by a certain...
I work in the accounting department, so certain processes, I need other people to follow them according to our accounting standards. But I don't have a lot of pull enforcing that. So a lot of the time it's chasing people around, getting them to fill things out correctly.
Right. That is frustrating. A lot of responsibility with no authority. Arg.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
I have a couple people that wrote in. Liz writes in payroll. That's a frustrating duty to her. And then Anna writes in dealing with an outdated content management system. Her responsibilities to update the website are difficult due to outdated software that frequently acts up and keeps me from meeting deadlines.
Those are frustrating things. Perhaps if we could use the one example of trying to get people to send in their information, but you don't have the authority to make them send it in on time. So that is a very frustrating task. Could we try and brainstorm that one in particular? And in doing so, perhaps you will see some of the things that could apply to, okay, now we'll see if I can get a updated system or something. But I'm sorry, who was it? Was it Renee that had the task of trying to get everybody to turn in information, but she didn't have the authority to make them do it on time?
I think maybe Hannah, right?
Hannah.
Oh, Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's a couple other examples here too. One is not having the resources to support the academic programming. That's from Beth. And then Renee writes in, I frequently need to reply to requests and questions on behalf of the owner, but people don't want a response from anyone but the owner, so discount the response that I give them.
That is frustrating.
That would be very frustrating.
Well, I was going to try and choose that first example about trying to get people to turn in information to a timeline. You know, you need to get things done, but you really have very little other than your pleasant smile and your going by their desk, or so what are ways that you try, Hannah, to get people to give you the information that you need by the time that you need to create your report?
We've been working on creating an aligned vision so that they understand why the information was important to me, and kind of inform them on how it slows me down when I don't get it. This is one thing that we started doing. And that's worked with some people. It just gets frustrating with other times when it doesn't.
Is there anything you can do to reward the people when they give you the information? Is there a thank you that you can send, an email that says thank you?
Oh, yeah.
And would also copy their manager? How many people are putting in information? Are you getting this from 10 people, 20 people?
About 10.
10, okay. I mean, so this could even be a, I've gotten a response in from, Jeff, Bob, and Kevin. I'm still needing a response from Evelyn and Harriet. You can start sending out emails that would give people kudos. Okay, you people are, have your things in, and these people do not. Is that something that maybe people would be more willing? I mean, it's like all of a sudden it's not shaming them, but it's like, oh darn, I want my name on I've got my stuff in on time.
That was a good idea. I haven't thought of that.
I also used to, I'm not ashamed to say, I would give out teeny tiny little chocolate bars, those little tiny Snicker bites. And, people would give me information, and I'd make it around I used to work at Hallmark, and it was a huge company, to walk around physically. And so when people are sending you their reports, but you're walking around the building a lot, and then you'd stop by somebody's desk and say, here is a little Snickers bar type thing. It's just thank you. It's just one of those little things that you give out at Halloween. They weren't, they weren't big. They were tiny, but people were like, hey, did I get a Snickers bar this week?
That's a good idea.
Does anyone else have some ideas of how to change this frustrating situation, how to get other people to cooperate?
Renee writes, in our business, we've always found we get a better response if we approach our needs from the aspect of how it benefits us, the what's in it for me approach.
Right, that's good. Hannah, are you the only one that needs to do this, or could someone else kind of help also get?
My manager helps me if I do a monthly report. So if I'm waiting on something, my manager can step in, but, he's super busy too, so it's easier if I can get it on my own.
Right, okay. I'm just trying to find ways for you to, pair up with a coworker, or, merge this with something else so that when people send in their information, they just get some sort of a reward.
Yeah.
Do we want to try another one? Do we want to try and brainstorm another one of the, this is kind of hard to brainstorm because I don't have a lot of conversation going on. But can people type in or let me know some of the things that they are thinking about, how they might change their frustrating duty into a more agreeable task? someone was talking about outdated, systems, and I know that's just expensive. I don't see any typing, Sam, so you have
Nope.
to tell me if you're getting something.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go. Anna with the software problem. I'm attempting to propose the transition to a new software and encouraging their coworkers to learn how to use the system so that they can understand the challenges that she's having. That's good.
Yeah, that is good. I know it, like I said, it's an expense, and it's sometimes hard for you to get something like that done quickly, but boy, when you start telling the person how expensive it is to not have, how much extra time it's taking you, or, yeah, the benefits of time and talent, and, just how expensive it is to be held back by the old technology, that might be, some good positive, information for you to find out, just basically how long something is taking you.
Mm-hmm.
Let your manager know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like she's trying to rally up some help too, so she's not the only squeaky wheel, that maybe some of the others will understand it too.
Exactly. Sometimes when you're really trying to find a way to change something, and this is good, like that Microsoft, is plan an informal discussion with your manager or with a coworker. Basically, you kind of need to, and it's not just something that just happens quickly, suddenly around the water cooler. I mean, it's actually something that you think about a little bit, and even ask a coworker to request an evaluation of your work, your skills, your talents, and you want balanced feedback, so that you're saying, okay, I want things, that are going well, but also tell me things that are going very slowly. For instance, we can't get this report done on time because you have to rely on 10 people to decide that they want to meet your deadline, or we have to work with very antiquated software. So if you can plan an informal discussion with a coworker, this is basically just like Renee was saying, that you kind of start getting other people to be on the same page as you are, and let's see if some of us could get together and improve some of the areas that we're having trouble with. A lot of times too, is there even something on this when you have a frustrating or irritating duty? Is there anything that we can go back and look at your happy sheet, your happy tent, that little card that had the 3 things on there? Is there a way that good food or traveling or something, is there something that's on that list that can come in and help you make this a less aggravating experience?
Beth writes that she tries to get companies to donate materials and supplies to allow us to present the academic content.
That's an excellent way to overcome, if you don't have the funds from your own company or from your school system to teach. That's an excellent way to go out and get some outside help and try to bring in supplies. But many times if you feel like you're handling this all by yourself, it becomes even more frustrating. And that's why I'm saying if you even plan out an informal discussion with a coworker or something to tackle this, and to just feel like I'm not totally alone in this. If I take this to my manager and I've convinced her that we need to improve this as well, many times you feel, I mean, you know, you've got you know, a common, something common that you know, are you working on together. I'm not going to do this role play just simply because we don't seem to be having enough conversation going on. But what I would encourage you to do is, instead of having a discussion with your manager, that you would have a discussion with your sister or a friend before you do this professionally at work. It's kind of interesting. I have a son who, I am amazed, he comes to me every once in a while with you know, things that he's done at work, and then he says, well, what would you do? And we do talk it out before he goes into his manager to do things. And I thought, wow, I wish I would have thought of that back when I was working with a manager that I was having trouble with. And I was always kind of just shooting from the hip when I was having my, you know, conversations with my manager. And I have really found that role-playing with a friend, with a spouse, before you have some of your conversations will really help you clarify, I need to find financial information, or I need to find, you know, that this is really negatively impacting 7 other people. I need to find out, you know, so it's really good if you role-play this discussion when you're asking for help from with a coworker, that you have, you play it out first, you know, so that you're not just winging it for the first time. One of my favorite brainstorming things, we've kind of talked now about finding ways to improve frustrating things, but one of the nicest ways to improve your job satisfaction is to really work on your strengths, building your strengths. I one time taught a great class about how so many people or so many companies try so hard to teach squirrels to swim and rabbits to climb trees, and it's like, you know, wait a minute, work with the talents that people have and really expand them. And instead of saying you're really lousy at detail work and I want you to take this detail class, the thing is better to work on what you're really good at. So I'd like you to take a piece of paper and fold it in, or, you know, fold it in 4 sections so that you've got 4 areas to write in. Fold it in half again. And then open it up, and on each of these 4 areas, on each of these 4 little areas, I want you to take a top talent and write it in each one of those spaces. So I know we had a couple of people that were organizers, and I believe detail people. Somebody said creative. Now, one of my favorite ways, and this is, you can brainstorm this with a group or by yourself, but apply the word magnify to your top talent. Let's just say the top talent is organizing. So if you have organization as one of your top talents, but you're really not utilizing it much in your job, what does the word magnify mean to that word? I can organize the storeroom. I can organize all the reports in alpha order, chronological order, due date order, order of importance. I can organize the monthly birthday party celebrations at work. Does anybody else have some ideas on how they would magnify the talent of organization?
Let's see if we get anything here.
Does someone else have another talent that they want to talk about, or another top talent? If organization isn't making your heart skip a beat, you know, you can give me another talent.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh,
On the question panel.
I was so
here's
hoping
one.
people would share it.
Here's
Okay,
one.
good.
People on her team, this is from Leah, people on her team travel a lot. I can organize a team schedule to help us know where everyone is at any time.
Because you're an organizer, that's excellent. And let's think about ways that you can show. I mean, do you show this on a map in your office? Do you show this on a chart that you've got on your computer? How are you going to show people where everybody is?
Sorry, can you repeat what you want us to do?
Well, I'm just trying to expand, magnify some of the things some of the answers that I'm getting. Like I said, if you were going to show where everyone is traveling, is this done on a chart or is it done on a map?
Leah writes in, we have a whiteboard in our office that it could be written on.
Okay.
A calendar would probably work.
Can anyone else think of fun ways to show where everyone is, you know, to organize that? And how does this get magnified? How does this get made bigger?
Anna writes in, she works at a professional association and she was hired for being personable. I magnify this by providing great customer service, fostering connections with our members, and building relationships with hotels and vendors.
And that's great. That's an excellent way because it is very gratifying, not only for your clients, but for yourself. I mean, that helps make your job so much more satisfying. And I would love to have you think of ways to even magnify what you do. How does that get bigger? How do you blow that up? How do you get down to even smaller details so that you can see more? Whatever the word magnify means to you.
Here's Liz writes in, she's an includer in a team, and this is magnified when we talk about new procedures and programs, and I always remember to include other partners in our department. So that's her example of how she magnifies.
And yes, and how do you include them? I mean, are they included verbally? Are they included by being asked to be in different committees or on different events?
Verbally, and she asked for their opinions as well.
Okay. it takes a while to kind of figure out how to use the words magnify and minify and multiply, but many times you do it over and over, and all of a sudden words start meaning different things. And so if you are going to magnify your creative talents, you know, some of the things you would do to put them under a microscope, and how can I magnify that I'm including people by putting them under a microscope? Okay, maybe, you know, so once you start using the word, then you come up with some new specific ways, and it's really kind of exciting that you start finding better ways, bigger ways to do many of your top talents. Basically tonight I was trying really hard to let you understand that, number one, you are in charge of making some of your frustrating parts of your job better. I know your manager might find some ownership in this, but basically it is up to each individual when they find areas that are rough or frustrating. It is up to them to find a way to make it better. Sometimes you reward yourself with a piece of chocolate. Sometimes you reward yourself if sunshine is on your happy list. You know, you get something done and you give yourself the opportunity to walk outside. You might not be a smoker, but you just want to walk outside anyway and be in the sun. So many times when you find something frustrating, if you can give yourself a reward or a new way of doing it, find a partner. It doesn't always have to be something that, you know, I get additional training, but rather it's you know, some little wonderful carrot that you give yourself. So many times handling frustrating activities is something that you come up with yourself. But then you can go to a coworker or to a manager and say, you know, I'm having trouble getting in everyone's, you know, numbers on time so I can give you the report. But what I'm doing is I am rewarding people with, you know, letters or email notes to their managers. I'm rewarding people with little Snickers bars. I'm rewarding people with, so you kind of talk this over with your manager or with a coworker, kind of get buy-in, and other people then suddenly start working your way. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, this is important for Hannah to get her report done on time, and I will try very hard to get her the numbers she needs, you know, before the deadline. In fact, I'll even try and get it to her early. So if you work with, you know, you understand that a lot of the responsibilities is your own to make this job more interesting, but also talk with your manager or a coworker and see if you can find ways to collaborate and get some help. One of the best ways of making your job better is to increase your use of your talents. If your job doesn't utilize your talents, find a way to bring it in. Find a way to be that blue sky creative person, even if that's not what your job is asking of you. Find someone who does need that help, and I'll help you if you'll help me. A lot of times people in the workforce love to partner up, and especially if you're helping them get credit for some of the things they're doing, then they are glad to turn around and help you accomplish some of your things. But magnifying or multiplying your strengths really is exciting and fun new way to make the most of a lot of your good talents. I know that tonight our key learnings were basically you can improve your performance, you can improve your environment, and you can improve your job processes by taking some of these frustrating things and figuring out how you can switch them into a more more pleasant experience. You can increase your understanding of what your job is if you really do ask your manager or a coworker if they would clarify what it is they need from you and give you some balanced feedback. Are you doing it well? Are you doing it not so well? I mean, you really have to ask for, instead of waiting for your annual review to come plunking down and shock you, it's really good to ask every other month, you know, am I improving this, or are you finding that I'm getting this done on time? Is that helping you out? So, you know, you just kind of bring it up in front of your manager and find times where you can both sit down together and discuss, yes, this is improving, or, you know, yes, we are getting more people to turn this in on time, or yes, you're getting more people to donate supplies and, you know, for the teaching and for the education projects that we're trying to do. So if you can increase both your personal and your coworkers' attitudes and actions, you're going to find yourself being a lot happier on your job. So basically that was what I was trying to get to you. What can you expand in your job role, your duties or your performance that makes you a lot happier? And that's basically also, like I said, come back to that happy tent and see if you can pull some of those things that come back, you know, and reward yourself. So does anybody have something from their happy tent that they are going to be able to add to their work week, something that they hadn't thought of before that was on their happy tent list, that maybe I can put this in my job? Are we getting any responses?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think sometimes there's a delay while people are typing.
I understand.
Traveling, even if that means within my own province of Canada.
I used to work at Hallmark, and one of my job opportunities was to travel, and people used to feel sorry for me because it's like, you know, and I was like, please give me a ticket and I will go. I always thought traveling was such a fun thing to do, and it was a reward for me. A lot of people found it, you know, very exhausting, but I thought it was a great reward.
Let's see.
Anything else from Happy Tents?
Yep, here's one. Be sure to decompress throughout the day, being sure to reward the completion of difficult tasks with a quick call home or a walk around the building. And that's from Anna.
I think that's excellent. I mean, precisely. If sunshine or being with friends, you know, it's even just like, hey, you know, you go to somebody in your office area and say, you know, would you walk with me while and we can talk about this on the way to such, you know, another place, and you get to be outside, you get to have some sunshine, and you get to have some company, and at the same time you are working, you are discussing something.
Here's another one. Treat myself to yoga class every week.
It doesn't even have to be job related, you're right. It's like if I get these things done, then I can attend this, or I can have this class. So basically, I know a lot of people were pretty happy when they came in here. We had, you know, some 7s. We had a couple of 4s, but we had some 7s I was hearing. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you feeling that there are some things that you can do to improve? Are you feeling that there are some things that you feel are one of your good talents and you can expand? Are you feeling that perhaps there is someone in your workforce, a coworker, a manager, somebody else's manager, that you could go to for help and support? And if so, is this making you feel a little better about your job? Do we have some ratings on how you could feel about your job? Are we getting any new ratings in?
Here's an 8.
Oh, yay, that's a higher one.
Upon review, I realize my job fits me well.
And sometimes that is a very important thing to understand, that I do have the talents for this job, and it's up to me to just make some of these parts a little better, to take off some of the rough edges, or to make some of these things a little sweeter, whatever it be. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Here's an 8.5 from Anna.
Yay!
Beth writes, still a 7, but I feel like I can take some of these ideas to inspire myself, but also to inspire my students.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. Well, I just wanted to have us spend this hour tonight of go back over your pages and, discover some of the things that you've written down, and thinking, I can make this better, I can make this timelier, I can make this stronger, I can make this more organized, and it makes you feel better about the job you're doing, and it makes your manager a lot happier with you in the job that you're doing. And those were basically our 2 objectives, to make you happier and to make your manager happier with your job performance. So I hope I've given you some little hints and helpful activities, some things that you can do to help you clarify, and circle a couple of things and see if you can implement them this week. Are there any other questions or comments before we sign off?
While we're waiting for those last questions, I will remind all of you guys that when we end the webinar, a survey is going to open up on your screen, and if you could take a couple of minutes to answer the questions on there. We really do use your feedback in order to plan future training events, webinar training events. And we really appreciate you guys spending your time with us tonight.
Yes.
And we have a thank you in the comments.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. I'm sorry we couldn't be more interactive, but I appreciate the typing that you did and the responses that you gave, and I hope that, like I said, you can take this back in the next couple of days and look at your notes and find some little kernels, some little gems that will really apply and help you improve your satisfaction with your job. Well, thank you. Thank you all very, very much. And have a great rest of your week.